Hey guys, this is Rick coming at you with Weed to No Basis, the podcast for all things cannabis business related. Are you an entrepreneur? Have something you wanted to create, something you wanted to bring to life in the cannabis industry? Maybe you've always wanted to partake in one of the biggest industries in modern day history. This is the podcast to listen to. Okay, so we're back, guys, and we're back at Hemp Key, the basement. And if you listen to, this is session 2 of the annual strategic planning. We're breaking it down into 4 quarterly sessions, and we're talking about session 2. If you haven't listened to session 1, guys, then go back because you're going to be lost in the weeds here, pun intended. And if you're here, it's because you're on a weed to no basis. So Scott, we're back, and we're going to talk about, so we talked about session 1. You face reality. And it's been said that sometimes an entrepreneur comes to those sessions and they realize they don't want to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I took out of our last talk was, I'd rather learn that lesson, spending some time and some resources and money with you here, than launch something and spend 50 grand and realize that I didn't really want to be doing this.
Correct.
So somebody goes through that session, they have an annual plan, they have a literal plan, they've now gone through a 90-day sprint, and at 90 days, they are coming back to session 2 in a room a lot like this.
Correct.
Like they are present, physically present with you, guiding them. Session 2, guys, here's what it entails. Now, this is where you're gonna wanna write this down. Utilize a strategic selling process. Leveraging the power of marketing. Adopt a strategic focus, accountability, and your priority management system. But really what that means is also we're going to review and update your strategic focus plan. So that plan you built the last session, we're going to come back to it.
Correct.
And only you will know if you've hit those metrics. So tell us what you mean about utilize a strategic selling process. You say here, realize the power of a company-wide performance culture. Kind of break that down.
Correct. So because the first session, each session builds upon itself, you're now ready to take on a new module, which I call the sales and marketing module. So we're going to spend a fair amount of the day going over sales and marketing. What really kind of, highlight architecturally, if you're thinking about a plan, do you need to put in place for your sales and marketing part of your company? Because everybody's going to be working on this a little different depending on, I always say stage, not age. What stage your business is in, that's going to vary what your sales and marketing plan is going to be like. Then we're going to talk about your company culture and your performance-based culture. So we're going to start creating some basic metrics or KPIs, key performance indicators, that you can measure against. So you know this, Rick, what gets measured gets done. So that's fine, we're creating these metrics, but if we're creating this work, if we're not measuring against it, how do we know if we're hitting success, right? Which again ties back into your top 5 plan. So we'll build out the sales and marketing model, architecture of your model for you. We're then going to get into the whole metric side of it, start with some key performance indicators to drive, making sure you're hitting those numbers, sales quotients, marketing quotients, things like that. And then we're going to spend another good part of the day going back over your 1-page plan. What worked, what didn't, what are some roadblocks? Do you need some help? Can we make some connections, get you some resources? I'm sure there'll be people in the room that can help you as well and have connections. So it's almost like a mastermind concept of, hey, let's help each other grow our business quicker.
Gotcha. And I think you guys are already kind of, when you saw way back when we actually had Scott doing our first interview, and then you saw the first session, you're seeing and feeling now, especially if you've never been, that there's a flow. So you start at point A, and if you think of this as the alphabet, now we're going letter by letter. Now we're at the second part of the alphabet, if you will. So strategic selling processes, power of marketing, and really reviewing and updating the strategic focus plan. So that could be another way of saying, if somebody's off track, let's get you back on track.
Correct.
And can that often mean maybe revamping or coming up with a new goal?
Absolutely. So great point. So what most difficult time you do anything, Rick, is first time.
Yeah.
So we will have created a plan for
quiz.
For the first time. You will have created a 1-page plan. You've more than likely never done anything like that before. So when we meet for the second session, absolutely, there may be a couple of the priorities that need some tweaking, or what I find a lot is maybe one of those priorities was so big it actually should have been 2 priorities. It should have been chunked into 2, and so we'll work through that and get to the point where now when you leave the second time, it's that much tighter, it's that much more refined. What most people also find is those 3 action steps that you work on, they need to take smaller bites of those 3 action steps too. So they don't necessarily need to have, in 60 days, I'm going to have my entire operational system plan in place. No, maybe just your sales and marketing plan is in place in 60 days. So I will facilitate and guide and coach people through how to take smaller bites of that elephant, so to speak, so that when you come to session 3, you're now firing on all cylinders, you're hitting those like out of the park every time because they've been refined.
Gotcha. So another way, something to think about, guys, you're hearing quite a bit, and this is powerful stuff. This is the stuff that moves your business needle forward. Is that first, one thing I took is done is better than perfect.
Correct.
If it's your first time ever doing a plan like this, it's okay if it has to be tweaked.
Absolutely.
Yes, that is actually, that's one of the essences of having you as a facilitator.
Correct.
Is you have I like to use the analogy of a coach in the playing field.
Absolutely.
And people in the stands.
Yep.
Now, if you're in the stands, guys, that's okay. You may be somebody who's ready to jump on the field. Mm-hmm. But when we're banging heads, kicking, doing the things that we do on the field, having a coach or that experienced set of eyeballs on you and your plan is, I would say, almost invaluable. So cool, strategic selling processes, leveraging marketing, and then something you did mention, if you guys didn't catch it, is that we're in a room, we're actually probably in this room, mm-hmm. and there will be 10 to 15 other business owners in the cannabis space, and so the power of the mastermind. Somebody may have been through the thing you're about to go into.
Absolutely.
And those are, we've been part of mastermind groups for years.
And just as powerful, maybe even more, is the connections and resources. So you've heard me say this, your network equals your net worth. And, the network in that room is going to be incredible. Not just to mention what you and I bring to the party with our networks. Yeah. But I'm always connecting people out there. So that's why I call it Growth Connect. It's the name of my company. I love connecting people because it always comes back around. Power of many. It's true. Yeah. So the room's going to be exciting because it's not just a one-on-one company coaching, which I do a lot of that. This is going to be powerful, multiple people in the room together.
Yeah, and I've been through, as part of either a board of directors for companies or even through my own companies, a participant in sessions just like this, and we regularly do them. Like Lisa and I, my wife, she was here a little while ago, but we regularly revisit our plans. We regularly revisit our goals, and we keep metrics and KPIs, and it's just Lisa and I. To give you guys context, and this is something maybe we didn't touch on, but we have in your other episode, is you built your company from 0 to 170 million over 10 years. Correct. Employees across the country. Same thing with Lisa and I did something similar, not as big, but we built something, and now it's just her and I. And to give you guys context, whether you're on track to build a multi-million-dollar operation or something that fuels your family, my wife and I go through these sessions, and no employees. That's how we like it. But this is as impactful whether you have 10 employees or it's just you and your significant other. So, love it. I love the stage, not age, because it has to do with where you're at in your business, not necessarily the tenure of the company.
Correct.
And what gets measured gets done. And a lot of entrepreneurs often make that mistake, is they don't know what they're supposed to be measuring.
Correct.
Or even how to measure it. So love it, guys. And that's really what I wanted to tease out, because in the next session, session number 3, we're going to talk about leadership, managing your greatest asset. So you're going to want to listen to that. And then, of course, how we review and update that plan. Guys, each one builds upon the next. Correct. Year over year, quarter over quarter, year over year. So guys, remember, take some notes. You just heard session number 2, what you're going to be privy to, a select group of people here. And then park your car, get your pen out, and tune into session number 3, because we're going to dive a little bit deeper as to what the Fritzinator delivers. So I just totally made that up. That sounded kind of Fritzinator.
I've been called worse.
Yeah. So guys, remember, if you're listening, guys, really appreciate you listening. If you're listening or tuning in on whatever channel it is, drop your questions, not while you're driving, drop your questions down below. You can always reach out to us. Hit us up on Instagram right here on WeTube, YouTube, or Facebook, wherever you're at. And as always, appreciate you tuning in, and it's because you are on a Weed to Know basis. Peace.